Hey guys, it's Kim Jong-spoon. Welcome back to World of Tanks Blitz. In today's episode, we're going to be doing a full review on the mighty E100. This was my very first tier 10. I will always have a special place in my heart for the E100 because it's amazing. So yeah, let's get straight into it. Okay, so to start off here, we're going to do... Okay, so starting off, we're going to take a look at this thing in the garage, and then we'll take a peek at its armor in the app Armor Inspector, which I highly recommend because it's a great app, and I basically use it before I unlock any tanks to figure out what it can get penned by, where it can get penned by certain tanks, and what tanks it can or cannot penetrate with its standard ammo, which is super helpful because I don't like spamming a PCR or heat. We'll just move these. Yeah, look at that. I don't like heat shells. Okay, so yeah, let's get straight into the E100. First off, we're going to take a peek at basically just the stats here. So 2,300 hit points. This did get nerfed in one of the recent patches, which made me very sad. But that's okay, because 2,300 is enough for a heavy tank. That's quite a bit. Only the mouse has more HP than this thing does. So 2,300 is workable. Hull armor 200 in the front is deceptive, and we'll get into that in Armor Inspector. Sides 120, that's very deceptive, and rears 150, that's not deceptive at all, it's just 150 millimeters thick. Turret armor 250 in the front, you're going to need a heat shell to pen that unless your Yagpin's E100 or a Death Star. Side armor on the turret 150 and rear armor 150, so angling the turret is going to be a big thing. Again, we'll talk about that in Armor Inspector. This thing does weigh 130 tons, so it's very, 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 very heavy. It was only supposed to weigh 100 tons, hence E100, but Germany in World War II just kind of went ham with designing their tanks, so they just made it way heavier than it was supposed to be, and actually that's why this thing did not get produced. They only made one chassis for it, and they were like, oh my god, this is like a mouse, and then they lost, so they didn't actually make any operational models. Anyways, 1,200 horsepower, so it doesn't have a great horsepower to ton ratio, but 1,200 horsepower, 130 tons means if you ram something in the E100, it will do a lot of damage. So if you can get up some speed and you want to ram some medium tanks, do it, because it's so satisfying to do like 400 damage with a ram, and then you fire 600 damage with your gun, and bam, you just did 1,000 damage. Speed limit 30 kph, you're going to have problems getting up to 30 kph on flat ground, but the 20 degrees per second traverse speed, you can do that. 16 degrees per second turret traverse speed, yeah, it's slow, but it's a German heavy tank, that's what you signed up for. Standard shell damage, 480 to 800. You have 640 alpha damage, which is the highest of any tier 10 heavy tank, which is one of the reasons why the E100 is so popular. It also looks sweet. Like, that looks sweet. Anyways, shell penetration, this is bad. 176 to 294. It's bad. It's 235 average penetration. You got that at like tier 8, so that's why I have like lots of heat shells. So yeah, heat shells for the win on the E100. You're gonna need them if you want to pen. Rate of fire 3.49 rounds per minute. It's kind of slow. This thing does not have very good DPM, but 640 alpha is super satisfying when you shoot medium tanks with it. 2.9 second aiming time, not the best. 0.4 accuracy, not the best. View range 250 meters, that's alright. Basically, the gun handling on this tank is alright. You have to let it aim, and you have to let it aim, you have to let it aim, and then you have to shoot a heat shell, and then you still might not do damage. But if you do shoot a heat shell, and you do penetrate, which you usually do because it has, 330 millimeters of average penetration, then it's fun just to see tier 8s melt under your heat shells, and people call you a heat spammer, but it's okay because it's your E100. You can shoot as many heat shells as you want. Okay, moving on from the raw stats, let's take a look at some of the consumables I run. It's standard heavy tank stuff. Got some chocolate because I like 10% bonus to crew mastery, and I like all of that fun stuff that chocolate brings. Multi-purpose restoration pack, and then repair kit because people like to shoot these massive tracks of yours with HE or just AP and track you. So I like to have a bunch of repair capability so I don't just sit there getting tracked 24/7. Equipment-wise, you're going to want a large caliber tank gun rammer because the reload is really slow. The reload actually got nerfed recently, and it really made me sad. I don't like people nerfing my E100. It's my baby. Enhanced gun length drive because that 2.9 second aiming time, that's like really bad, so you're going to want to get that down as much as possible. And then vertical stabilizer is a good idea if you want to take snapshots, but I like to just let it aim. Like, I just like to pull around a corner. Oh no, I took a hit. I have 2300 HP, and then fire back with 640 alpha damage, and kind of just damage trade with it. Like, you can do it even against other tier 10 heavies because you have more HP and more alpha, and you have heat shells. So yeah, I run improved vents just to get everything better. Driving, it's kind of sluggish, so I like to have that bonus to driving, and then I also like to have the bonus to reload because the reload does kind of suck. Moving on to ammo, this is going to be the fun part in the comments of this video. Okay, so ammunition. This would be, like, the best loadout you could run on the E100. Actually, more like this. And maybe a little bit more HE. So, yeah, this would be, like, the best loadout you could possibly run. It's expensive, yeah, and so I'm not going to do it. So we're just going to go back to, like, 19, and then, yeah, that'll work. Okay. It has so much ammo, I'm fairly certain that if you just fired every time you loaded the gun, you wouldn't run out. So, in 7 minutes. So don't really worry about that. I mean, have a lot of HE, have a lot of heat shells, and then fill up the rest with AP. Basically, your ammo loadout should be solely dependent on how many credits you make with this, and or if you have a premium account and premium tanks, because the standard shell penetration on AP ammo, and this is going to be the worst thing about this tank in my opinion, is 235 millimeters. Let's take a look at some other tanks that have 235 millimeters of standard penetration. So, let's see, Tiger 2, how much penetration does this thing have with its best gun? 225. So, basically, you're just like a little bit better than a tier 8, which is sad. What tier 8s don't get, though, is heat shells. So, if you want to be competitive in this tank, you're going to have to fire heat. Some people don't fire heat, and they do well. Like, they get around people's sides, and they fire at medium tanks, but if you want to consistently do damage, in my opinion, you need to fire heat shells. And that's alright for me, because I have 4.5 million credits at the moment. So, I can shoot as many heat shells as I want. I'll just play a couple premium tanks and get the credits back. You don't play any tier 10 to get credits, you play them to have fun and crush tier 8s. Which heat shells really make fun because you pen whatever you hit. So yeah, heat shells for the win. So that is the raw stats of the E100. Now let's take a look at this beast in Armor Inspector and see how its armor holds up to some of the standard tier 10 guns and tier 9 and tier 8 guns that will be shooting at you in random battles. Okay guys, so now we're in the app Armor Inspector. I'm going to throw a link in the video description for this app on the Google Play and iTunes app stores, because this thing is a great app if you guys want to know how to pen certain tanks or how you are being penned in certain tanks. Basically, it just has the armor layouts and armor configurations for every tank in the game, up to the most previous recent patch. Anyways, basically, it just shows you where to pen things. So here's the E100, and what I really like about this app is it tells you how much gun depression you have. E100 has 7 degrees of gun depression, which is better than most. Like, if you played Russian tanks, you're not going to get 7 degrees of gun depression. If you played certain other German tanks, you're not going to get 7 degrees of gun depression. But what I also like about this app is if you turn the turret, it'll actually tell you how much gun depression you have. Now, on certain tanks, especially medium tanks, to the rear, you have less gun depression, or in the case of the E50M, to the side, you have more gun depression. It's 7 degrees all around for the E100, so don't worry about what part of your tank is facing the front to get the maximum gun depression. Worry about that to get the maximum effective armor angling. So yeah, let's take a look at the actual armor thickness here. So, we're going to take a peek at this view, and this view in Armor Inspector tells you how thick the armor is. There's another view that tells you how effectively thick it is, but we're going to get to that in a second. So the lower plate is the weakest part of the E100, 150 millimeters thick. Tier 8s can reliably pen this if you are angled up like this a little bit, and you're not angled like this at all. So basically, in the E100, your angling should consist of making the lower plate as thick as possible, and making the turret as thick as possible. If you do those two things, you will do well in the E100. So the lower plate, again, 150 millimeters thick, not the best. It is at a pretty steep angle, but you will get penned reliably from tier 8s, tier 9s, and tier 10s. So make sure that you angle this, and we're going to get to what the best angle for that is in a second. Upper plate, 200 millimeters thick. Don't shoot at the upper plate because, you know, ridiculous angle plus 200 millimeters of armor, you're not going to pen. So, yeah. The E100 from the side is very, very, very good. So, it has 60 millimeters of side skirts, Then it has 40 millimeters of suspension, and that's a lot of suspension. If we get rid of our spaced armor and in our external modules, we can see that the side armor is 120 millimeters thick. So that is a bunch of armor, so if you angle it, nothing's going to pen you from the side. There's one little weak point, and that is right here on the track, but there are ways to mitigate that problem. The E100 has such good side armor that, you know, usually you'd angle at about like 30 degrees. With the E100, you can angle pretty much like this, and nothing's going to pen your side armor. But again, we'll get to that in just a second. From the rear, it's 150, so yeah, don't show people your rear armor because they're probably going to pen you. I'd guess if you have the bottom of an E100, you could shoot at it, but, you know, you're never going to get the bottom of an E100. And the top of an E100, you're never going to get that either. Moving on to the turret, we can see there is a big old gun mantlet right here. You're not going to pen this, so don't shoot at it. I don't think there's a tank in the game that can reliably penetrate the E100's gun mantlet, so don't shoot at the E100's gun mantlet. The front of the turret is strong but weak, and again, we'll get to this in a second when we show you where to pen the E100, but the turret is a weak point, and people will say it's 200 millimeters thick, and it's sloped. How is it a weak point? Well, my good friend, there are things called heat shells, and heat shells have lots of penetration. So, if you get heat shells shot at the front of your turret and you don't angle it, you will get penetrated by said heat shells, which is unfortunate, but that's also why you carry heat shells in the E100. Side of the turret, 150, rear of the turret, 150, and there's this weird angled pentagon that's 100 millimeters thick. This is actually correlating to this like hatch at the back, but if you can pen the hatch, you can probably pen the back. So just shoot the back of the turret or the back of the hull, and you'll probably penetrate. Yeah, E100, overall, very good armor, but there are some glaring weak points, which we'll get to right now. Okay, so in this view of an armor inspector, we can see where you can pen the E100 with a specific gun, and I have chosen the E100's own gun, the 15cm KWK L38. We can dial down the distance from 500 meters, which is one of the things I really like about this app, because penetration is lost over distance with everything except heat shells. So you can see 235 millimeters of standard penetration on the E100. Without angle, if you are at the E100's height, so we're going to do 0 degrees of gun depression and line up the gun, you will not reliably penetrate the lower plate. 28%, 37%, 19%, and it's only 250 millimeters of effective armor, so I don't like armor piercing in this tank. If you angle, this would be the best angle for the E100. We can see exactly what angle is by turning the turret and lining it up. 25 degrees, like right here, is the best angle for the E100. If someone's shooting AP or APCR at you, because you will get 275 to about 280 millimeters of effective armor on the lower plate. The upper plate will be ridiculously thick, so don't shoot at that. And then the side armor, it's going to be up to, 400, 500 millimeters of effective armor. And you will get ricochets off of the side skirts here. Now, this area right here, the very front, is the biggest weak point if you're angling well. There are ways to mitigate this, and the best way to mitigate it is either move forward or backwards, so they have to track this with their guns, or to just wiggle, so you go like this. If you just go like this with your tracks when you're not firing, they'll go like, oh my god, I can pin the lower plate, and then they'll shoot there, and by the time they shoot, it's like this, so it's going to bounce. So wiggling in the E100 is probably the best thing you can do. You can see here that we can overmatch the top of the E100's hull, even from a super steep angle. It's only 100 millimeters thick, but in reality, you will never get the front of the E100. We can see in Armor Inspector there's a little bit of a glitch with the turret, so to show you guys the turret, we're actually going to switch over to the PC model, because, as you can see here, the hit skin is different from the model, so we're just going to switch over to the PC version of the E100. The PC version is exactly the same, except the front of the hull here has a little 150 millimeter strip that is a little bit weaker, but again, it's the front of the hull. Don't shoot at that because you're going to bounce. Okay, so the turret here, we can see, is very strong with the E100's own gun. The effective armor of an unangled E100 turret is right around 270 millimeters thick. So you're probably not going to penetrate with the standard ammo on most tanks, including tier 10 mediums, which is usually like 250 to 270 millimeters thick. You're not going to penetrate. The E50M, you might if you're firing from a little bit above, but it's safest to load the premium ammo. And look at that! Okay, 98% chance of penning. Yes, please, a little bit from the top, 99% chance of penning, because 334 millimeters of standard penetration on the E100. Is that the same for Blitz? Yep, same for Blitz. So, basically, with heat shells, you can penetrate the E100. The E100, if you're firing heat shells, you will have issues if you shoot at the side of tanks, because what heat shells do is as soon as they hit anything on the tank, they detonate. When they detonate, I'll link a video in the description, which is what ammo you should use. I made it a while back, but I talk about how heat shells work. Basically, they explode and shoot a jet of hot gas towards the target, but there's a focus point, like a magnifying glass, where all of the hot gases focus on a single point of the armor, and that's basically right in front of the shell. So if you hit the tracks, the focus point is going to be on the tracks, and beyond that, it's going to get less and less powerful as the particles spread out, and they're less concentrated. So heat shells get piercing power loss once they hit like side skirts or tracks or something. So if someone's shooting heat shells at you, you can angle like this and they still won't pen you, just to get a little bit of extra thickness on that lower plate. Again, this is still a weak point here, so make sure you're moving forwards and backwards. And then the turret, this is the biggest thing with the E100. You need to angle the turret, and unfortunately there's no angle on the turret where an E100 cannot pen you, because right here we can see 64% on that side and 66% on that side. So what you need to do is just take a turret and just go like this. This is the best thing you can do, just get bounces off the turret in the E100. Because if you do this fast enough, and even 16 degrees per second of turret traverse is fast enough to do this, the average ping and roll to tank splits is probably like 100 milliseconds. So by the time they hit the button and the server registers that they fired, you've got, and well, you know, human reaction time is a little bit long too, your turret will have gone like this, so they will bounce. Or if they're firing at this side, by the time they register that they can shoot, hit the button, and the signal hits the server, your turret's like this, and boom, you just bounce their shell off the side. So basically, you gotta wiggle. You gotta wiggle the hull. You basically just have to go like this against AP and heat shells, and you have to wiggle your turret like this. And if you do both of those things, you'll probably get bounces on the E100. Now, the best thing you could do is just go hull down. You can just cover up your lower plate with like a rock or a dead tank or something like that, and then all you have to do is wiggle the turret and problem solved. So, yeah. Going back and forth is another great idea, because as you go back and forth, even if I'm firing at this, when I go back, boom, now my shell's going to hit the side of the turret, which is 500 millimeters of effective armor, and you will bounce. I do want to touch on one other thing really quickly, another weak point of the E100, but it does not actually get pen as much as you would think, and that's this top bar here. The top bar of the E100 is only 150 millimeters thick, and it's very weak. Now, this tricks people, because when they see the top bar, they see this bit of the top bar, they see that thing, and they see the top bar. Now, this does not have a hitbox. This is an external module. If you hit this, it will not do damage to the tank's armor. This is a rangefinder. No, these are rangefinders. This is like a viewport. Again, this does not have a hitbox. If you hit this, it will not do damage to the tank. You have to hit this bit here. Now, we do have 7 degrees of gun depression, so if we are hull down and we're like this, oh my goodness, you can't even hit the top bar. So the top bar is not really an issue, and also if you're wiggling the turret like this and moving back and forth, it's literally impossible to hit the top bar. So don't worry about the top bar unless people are consistently penning you there, in which case they're probably just penning your turret instead. So don't worry about the top bar. What you should be worried about is angling the hull and angling the turret so that you don't get penned by heat shells, which is probably the most common thing to have happen in the E100. We're going to take a quick peek at the internal crew and modules. They're the same for PC and Blitz. Basically, this shows you where you don't want to get penned because it will do critical damage. So the E100 has 6 crew. You have your driver here, you've got your radio operator, you've got your gunner, you've got your commander, and then you've got 2 loaders because the shells are huge and they take, 2 big German guys to put the shells in the chamber. And if you remember, the front of the turret's a weak point, the lower plate's a weak point. Now, the front of the turret, you can get crew killed from the front of the turret, you can get the gunner, and you can get the commander killed. But what's more likely is your engine gets hit. Now, what happens when your engine gets hit? You get set on fire. So it's very important to keep either a fire extinguisher or a multi-purpose restoration pack on the E100, because if they penetrate your lower plate, hit chance explosion 45%. You can get set on fire very easily in this tank from lower plate hits, which really sucks. Especially if you just use your multi-purpose restoration pack to get your tracks back up, and then you get set on fire, and you just have to burn for a while. which has happened in numerous occasions, and I've died because of it. So, it's really important to keep that multi-purpose restoration pack available. So if you get hit in the tracks, use the repair kit first. Don't use the multi-purpose restoration pack, because it's happened where like, oh no, my gun's damaged. Multi-purpose restoration pack, next hit I'm on fire, and I'm just burning for like 10 seconds. And, you know, a tier 8 medium might do 500 damage to me with a single hit. So you have to keep a fire extinguisher available with this tank, or else you will get set on fire. The driver might die, the radio operator might die. If the radio operator dies, it doesn't matter, because the radio operator is completely useless in Blitz. If the driver dies, you're going to be super slow, but you're already slow, so probably best to save your multi-purpose restoration pack for when something else gets damaged, because you do get lots of module damage in this tank. Let's talk about the ammo racks, because people like ammo racking things. The ammo racks are right here on the side rear of the turret. It's weird in Armor Inspector, there's a glitch with where modules are located, but back at the turret, on both sides, ammo racks. There's also ammo racks right here. But, how thick is that? It's really freaking thick. It's, you know, 212 millimeters, but if you're angled, it's probably like, you know, 300 millimeters thick. So don't shoot there, just shoot there, and you'll probably damage the ammo racks. So, yeah. The good thing about the E100's ammo rack is they have a ton of HP. If you guys didn't know, there are two types of hit points. There are vehicle hit points, and there are module hit points. So modules have HP just like your tank does. So if you get hit in the modules, they will take damage. At a certain point, they become damaged, and at a certain point, they get destroyed. But there is a % chance that your modules will even take damage in the first place. So if I shoot at the ammo racks, as you can see here, I cannot destroy them. They have too much HP. So with the E100 shell, I cannot ammo rack an E100 who does not already have a damaged ammo rack. So, that means that you're not going to get ammo racks on the E100 just spontaneously. You do have a 27% chance to damage the ammo racks, but you still have, after 3 hits, only a 46% chance to ammo rack the E100. It has very strong ammo racks. So, with the E100, if you get damaged ammo rack, you're going to reload super slow, but don't worry about it, because they're probably not going to ammo rack you. And this is a huge shell. Let's try like a tier 10 medium tank. So let's get a medium tank from Germany. Let's get that E50M going. E50M's best gun, if we fire at the E100, 42%. It's the same % chance. So, yeah, you're not going to get ammo racked in this thing. Just don't worry about it. Onto the engine. Don't show people your rear armor, because that's where your engine is. You can get set on fire very easily in this tank, and if your engine gets damaged, you are so slow. So, just don't get your engine damaged. And then the other big module that gets damaged a lot is the tracks. An E50M has a 96% chance of detracking an E100 with the first hit. Tracks don't have a lot of HP, so just deal with it. E100s, okay, if you angle the E100 and you get tracked, it's no biggie, because you're already angled. So if you just angle the turret, they're still going to have problems penning you. So if you get tracked, it's not a big issue. There's not artillery that's going to rain down on you, like in PC version. All you have to do is just angle your turret, and even if I get tracked like this, like, you know, 11% chance, 20% chance. That's the best %, and that's tiny. So, unless they hit the turret ring, which I can't even hit with my big fat fingers, there we go. Like, they can't pen you anyways, so don't worry about it. Just angle the turret, when you're reloaded, bang, and then you angle the turret again. So, E100, very strong tank. The only really way to effectively take it out is to get the side armor, or to get the rear armor, and don't take hits from its giant gun. So, yeah, it's a great heavy tank. I definitely recommend it as your first tier 10, because the entire line is basically the same. Big, homogeneous, flat armor segments that are easily angleable, so you learn angling very well. Now that we've taken a peek at this thing in Armor Inspector, let's take a peek at some live gameplay. So this was going to be live gameplay, and it did actually record, like, the live gameplay portion of this, but as it turns out, audio recorder crashed, so we no longer have the live gameplay audio. And I actually cried about that. I'm just kidding, but I was very sad. I didn't really want to record it again, so what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to do post-commentary on it. I was thinking of doing that anyways, but live gameplay is always more fun. I just took the best games from my live gameplay, and I'm just going to show them here, and just try to talk about what I was thinking, because it's all in my brainicle. So we're starting here on Castilla, on the north spawn, and of course we want to go left, and left is basically the side that you want to go on every single tank you play on Castilla, because just that's where everybody goes. I don't know how else to explain it. It's just the better engagement. If you have skill, it's good to go over there. If you don't have skill, there's options for everyone. You can go hull down, you can side scrape. It's just a great place to be. So in the E100 we're loading heat to start out with, because they have E100, IS-7, Jagdpanzer E100, Object 140, Object 704, T-54. Basically the only tank I can fire AP at and be guaranteed to pen is the T-62A. So heat spam for the win. I guarantee you there's going to be that one dude in the comments who's like, "You're a noob, heat spammer." Yeah. Yep. That's me. And I own it, yo. I'm just like, spam heat. Deal with it. We're going to poke around this corner. This is basically my favorite little corner here because you can get shots on everyone. I don't want to get shot by, like, that Object 704. There's always either someone camping up on that ridge or someone pops around that corner. So that Object 704 is backing off. I'm going to pop around the corner and put one to this Jaegeru. And we've been spotted. Fire heat shell into the lower plate, and we take one from what looks like the E100 right there. He did take a pretty clutch shot with the heat shell. There's the Object 704. Don't want to take a hit by him. We take a bounce. That looked like he was off our gun, so I'm surprised we didn't take damage. He is using the BL-10. We put one in, obviously. 0.4 accuracy. Oh yeah, we take clutch shots. That's honestly why my hit rate's trash, but whatever, man. There's a couple of tier 10s over there, and there's the I-7 on the hill. I think he's proxy spotting me. I'm not sure, but that does look like it's within 50 meters, so I think he is proxy spotting me. Jaeger is literally looking right at me, so I'm going to be pretty cautious. Okay, he's gone unspotted. There he is. Clutch shot, and of course we hit, and we back off so we don't take return fire. Which is basically what you have to do in the E100 with this high alpha damage gun, is you take the shot and don't take return fire, or you can... I mean, it's a pretty good tank for damage trading, so, I mean, I don't want to damage trade this Jagdpanzer E100 like I just did, but we get the kill, so it's okay. You damage trade someone with a 100mm gun? Yeah, great, you did 300 damage. I did 640, so how does that feel? And then you just pull back, and they cannot shoot you while you're in cover. So now there's this IS-7, I load AP for his rear armor, pop around the corner, and boom, right into the track. I probably could have gone for the ammo rack there, but I'm just getting underneath his gun here. He can't shoot me now. He's not even looking at me. He knows he can't shoot me. And we're going to pop forward again. Maybe we can get the kill. I load an HE shell for the kill, and now we're not going to get the shot on him. IS-4 takes him out. So now there's an E100 left, there's an Object 140 left, and there's a T-62A left. So we're going to take them all out one by one. E100's first, angling the turret. He does not want to shoot at me. Angle, 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 wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Basically just employing all of the things I talked about in Armor Inspector and the garage to get our bounce. There's our first heat shell bounce. That gold tracer means it's either HE or heat shell, and the sizzle meant it was indeed a heat shell. So he's loaded adrenaline. I'm just going to aim my shot. With this long reload, you have to pen the shots. So take your time, aim. Even if you aim for 4 seconds, it's better than bouncing, and you know, 4 seconds of aiming is better than 13 seconds of reloading. So he's bailing out. Still got a heat shell loaded because I'm not going to switch. That was a pretty low roll. And now I know if his butt's towards me, I can just put AP into his rear. Okay, there's his side armor. IS-4 takes him out. T-62A has been up camping on the little temple thing. Not the temple, the monastery? I don't know what we're calling that. But he's been camping there the whole game. And of course I kill the E100 in such a way that I can't get past him. So T-62A on adrenaline, and it looks like he's coming this way. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to pre-aim around the corner. And if he does indeed pop around the corner, I'm just going to go bam. And I do a bunch of damage. So a little bit of extra damage before we finish off that game. That was a pretty good game. Did spam a bunch of heat, but you guys can deal with it. Let's take a look at this post-game stats there. So, 4,700 damage, overall pretty good game, second class. Let's take a look at another game here. And yes, this is on the old Lost Temple. I did record this before patch 2.4 went live, so this is on the old Lost Temple. I mean, I debated putting this game in here, but I do think it shows off the strengths of the E100. You can't really use it for map awareness, but whatever. One of the things I noticed when I started playing World of Tanks PC, which was a while back, and I actually started playing it now that my brother's back from college, but basically, like, a huge part of it is map knowledge. So I know how to side scrape, I know how to angle, I know weak points, but if I just don't know where to be, like, I'll do, like, if someone played WoT PC and they they basically just picked up World of Tanks Blitz with like a tier 10 account, and they got on Winter Malinovka, they might flank, and they'd probably lose because of it. So, like, I went to the wrong place on the map, because I had no clue where to be. And that's a big thing for World of Tanks Blitz, and that's what I did when I first started playing, is I watched videos and just saw where people went, and, like, I just went there and would see how it goes, just trial and error, and then my skill evolved like that. M48 Patton over there got heat shell loaded to start out with again, because yellow swag. Again, M48 Patton aiming in, and it looks like he's gonna pop out. Boom, and of course we pen. So yellow swag, angling the turret again, because I don't want to take a heat shell from Mr. Patton in my turret front. And I'm gonna take another shot at this guy. I don't want to take a shot on that IS-7 if this guy's gonna be able to shoot me in the side. And maybe we shoot. And we hit his commander's hatch. So, E100 RNGesus is amazing. We blindly hit his commander's hatch. That's probably like the coolest shot I've ever made. Like that was such a sweet shot. Except this one's stupid because I completely missed. But whatever. That one shot, that was pretty sweet. If I'm gonna be brutally honest, that's like my favorite shot ever. I'm actually really looking forward to the Death Star because I guarantee you I'm just gonna load Hesh and pen like stupid BS shots like that. We're gonna have fun when I get the Death Star. Oh yeah, like every other video is gonna be like Death Star, amazing pens, Death Star, BS pens, and stuff like that. Hi E100, and we let it aim. Nice AP shell. Load some heat if you want to do well, and of course he doesn't have a fire extinguisher, so he burns for 1300 damage. I took half the health of another E100 off with a single shell, so I liked that damage trade. That was a stellar damage trade. And aiming in. We pen him again, automatically angle the turret. And that's honestly a skill that you just have to develop. As soon as you fire, like as soon as I fire, I just swipe my finger across the screen to angle the turret as fast as possible. Because I don't want to have my turret facing the front of another tier 10 for very long. We try to see if we can hit the top bar, but again, the top bar is very small. Nice heat shell E5. Maybe we're going to pop around and hit him. And commander's hatch, and of course we hit. So E100 is very temperamental. Nice heat shell again. You either have a good game or you have a terrible game. So, like, these are the good games. Half of the games I had trying to record this live gameplay did less than 1,000 damage because, like, you just would not hit things, and it really makes me angry. Like, you just have to get the E100 on a good day and have RNGesus like you, or else your E100 is just like you aim in and then like, oh great, hit his upper plate. Like, half the time, if my E100 was having a bad day, that would have just dipped into his upper plate and done no damage. So, it's temperamental. That's why you shoot heat shells, and you don't have problems with penetration. So, yeah. M48 Patton is killed by our M46 Patton, so little Patton killing big Patton. That's disrespectful. High FE4202. And lower plate. Nice. Now, see, if I had loaded a heat shell and shot at his upper plate, I would have killed him. So, as you can clearly see, premium ammo does make the game more easier. More easy? Yeah, definitely easier. Okay, high T30. T30, another big guns. Let's take him out. Kaboom, tracks. Nice, mate. And we're just going to angle towards him so he can't pen us. Not that he's going to live that long. Someone kill him, thank you. So, all that's left is this IS-7. Can I get my second kill in this game? Do. I think, nope, that's not the IS-7. Where's the IS-7? Where is he? There's his gun. There he is. There he is. Okay, so we missed with our HE shell, and he dies. So that was a little bit disappointing. But let's take a look at those post-game stats. So 4,700 damage again, another second class, and we still made credits, so we weren't super heat spamming. That's how I determine if I'm spamming too much heat, is if I lose credits. For our last game today, which was supposed to be live gameplay, but it ain't, is going to be on Canal. And, of course, I'm top tier. I'm looking at the team lists thinking, yeah, 2 tier 10s on each team. That's pretty good. A lot of tier 8s. They have the extra tier 9, but I can deal with that. And right now, I'm debating whether going right or left. I decide on going right because I do want to kill their mediums. Their mediums are going to be very dangerous this game. So My idea, and this could be blatantly wrong, but it worked, so my idea is that if we all go right, kill their mediums, then we kill their heavies, because mediums are way more versatile than heavies. If we killed their heavies, their mediums would probably have time to flank us, but if you go and kill their mediums first, then their heavies are going to be the ones who have to flank, and their heavies are obviously slower, so it's going to take longer for them to flank, so we're using our full force fighting half of their forces at a time. That's the idea. That's my general strategy, is all go one way and then kill that half of the enemy team and then kill the other half when they come around, and it usually works. So if some super unicum out there wants to teach me how to blitz and there's a better strategy, then there's that, but everyone going to one side and killing half the team is, at least for me, working well, as evidenced by my win rate. So yeah, that's why I tell everyone to go to one side. And here's their mediums. So we have a tier 9 and a tier 10 German heavy. We're just going to pop around the side and be like, hello, medium tanks. And they're going to have a bad day. So there's a, ooh, hi, boom. He had a bad day, didn't he? So I took off half his health. Isn't alpha damage great? Now, if I was in a Death Star, I would have taken off, like, all of its health. And I was firing hash and I penned. But not in a Death Star. Back of a T-62A. Oh my god, yes, yes. I didn't need it, but I've done 1,000 damage in a single hit with no engine fire on the back of a T-62A before. E100 does have pretty good penetrating, does have HE shells with pretty good penetration, so if you see the back of like American tanks or Soviet mediums, then yeah, you can pen them. I am backing up here because turning my tracks would take too long. Hi, bud. Switch to heat shells, and we pen him, so yeah. One of the game mechanics I do actually kind of miss is, back like 3 or 4 patches ago, they removed a system where if you switch shells, your aiming cycle resets. Now in World of Tanks PC, if you switch a shell, you basically start reloading again, which is realistic. Like, you can't just magically have an AP shell turn into an APCR shell in the barrel. They basically have to take the shell out and put a new one in. In a Blitz, they didn't do that, but what they did is they made you aim again. And, you know, on tanks like the E100, aiming takes a while. So if you switch from AP to heat, you'd have to aim your shot. And then they decided, no. I don't know why, but they did. So they removed that mechanic, and now you can just like magically switch shells in the barrel. And I am looking forward to the Death Star, because you will be able to just like, if you have heat, or not heat, if you have hash and you won't be able to pen, boom, AP, take the shot, 900 damage, swag. Take a look at my right, see what that is. Hi, IS-8, heat shell, boom, heat pens me, I can deal with it, I have way more HP. The E5's in the Valley of Death. General strategy, again, don't go there. Just don't. It's a bad place to be. Hi, IS-8 again. I have an HE shell for him because he's on super low health, and then of course I don't pen because I think I hit his gun, but I just tap him and I weigh 130 tons, so I still kill him. Someone's shooting me in the butt. Can you please stop? So I just kill the Furds, and then I'm like, okay, whoever's shooting me in the butt, I don't like that. I think it was the T-44, so we'll kill him. He's gonna pop up here soon. Yeah, don't shoot E100 in the butt. It's angry, and then he's just like, hey, and then I kill him. Aiming in, kaboom, sit down, 4 kills. Can we make it 5? This is the quest for Radley Walters medal. I'm gonna spoil it, I don't get 5 kills. But I still have AP loaded, so I'm not a gold spammer. And I'm looking at the side shot on this E5, roll around the corner, shell in the chamber. Oh geez, I'm gonna get so much damage from this shell. Nope. No, I won't. The box took a ton of damage, but the game doesn't care if the box takes damage. And the one thing I want in World of Tanks Blitz, if they never change the game again, the one thing I want is for your 150mm armor-piercing shells to be able to go through a wooden box and keep going, which is something they added to PC like in patch like 7.5, so that's one thing I want. 3,100 damage, not a gold spammer, 2,000, 20,000 credits, so yeah, E100, tier 10 German heavy. Basically, if there's some takeaways from this video, it's angle your hull, angle your turret, wiggle, and aim your shots, and fire heat shells. So that's what you need to know with the tier 10 German heavy, the E100. If you guys don't have a tier 10 and you're looking to pick up one, then I would recommend grinding down this line, because this whole line teaches you how to angle. It's all homogeneous, flat, sloped pieces of armor that you can learn how to angle really well in, and the payoff is really good with this 150mm gun. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, leave a thumbs up down below, and stay tuned for more awesome tank videos. Thanks.